welcome our two experts. Nuresh Mirani of Analyze India joins in to answer all our stock queries, and Firoz Aziz of Anand Rathi Wealth Management joins in to answer our personal finance questions. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thanks very much for joining in. We have our first caller on the line already. Naresh Kumar calls in from Haryana. Hi, Mr. Kumar.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, sir. What's your question?
मैंने HDFC करीब एक महीना पहले 1155 रुपए में खरीदा हुआ है। अभी ये काफी डाउन हो गया है, तो इसका फ्यूचर क्या है और ये 1200 रुपए कब तक इसमें आने की उम्मीद है?
Okay, Nuresh, this, its stock is actually one of the bellwethers, but this month itself, the stock has lost a bit of ground. What's your advice to Mr. Kumar, and when do you expect to see levels of 1200 back on the stock?
See, if the investor is an investor and has patience, he can hold on for, say, even a target price of 1300 over the next 3 to 6 months. But if he is a trader, I believe he should exit the stock at current levels, because right now the stock looks like going sideways, wherein it would be in a range of 1100 to 1180 for some time to come.
Nuresh, can you speak in Hindi with the speaker, with the viewer?
अगर इन्वेस्टर का व्यू थोड़ा लंबा है तो वो होल्ड कर सकते हैं. एक टारगेट प्राइस अराउंड 1300 के आसपास बनता है, और अगर ट्रेडिंग व्यू है तो यहाँ पे एग्जिट बनता है.
ओके, कुमार साहब, शायद आपको जवाब मिल गया. अगर आप ये शॉर्ट टर्म का निवेश कर रहे हैं या ट्रेडिंग कर रहे हैं तो आपको शायद अभी निकल जाना चाहिए, क्योंकि अभी वो 1200 की उम्मीद नहीं है. लेकिन अगर आप शायद लंबे अवधि के लिए होल्ड कर सकते हैं तो प्लीज बने रहिए निवेश में. 1300 का दाम तो उनको लगता है. Well, our next caller is Parag Donarkar. He is calling us from Nagpur. Parag ji, what is your question?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead, Parag.
Yes, I have 2,600 shares of Axis Bank bought at level of 387. So I wanted from experts that what should I do. इसके साथ मुझे ये भी पूछना है कि एक्सिस बैंक और आईसीआईसीआई बैंक में दोनों में से कौन सा शेयर अच्छा रिटर्न देगा 1 साल के लिए.
Okay, Nuresh, that is as clear as it gets. Maybe you want to speak in English and Hindi.
Yeah, if we my view is, I believe ICICI Bank has underperformed for the last 6-7 years. So going ahead for the next 1 year, we believe ICICI could do better. And if you look at all the private banks compared to ICICI, most of them are above, say, 2008 highs by almost 2x, 3x those levels. ICICI Bank is just up 20-25% higher than the 2007-8 highs. So we believe going ahead one could shift to ICICI Bank. And Axis Bank has also moved up quite a bit over the last few months. So I would say a shift from Axis Bank to ICICI Bank is what I would advise.
All right, that's the advice. I'm sorry, you want to add?
That was for Parag.
Okay. All right, another caller on the line with us is Ashwin, who calls in from Chennai. Hi, Ashwin.
Hello.
Hi, what's your question?
I have recently inherited 5 lakh rupees. Where and how should I invest this money? And I also wanted to know if tax will be deducted on the money.
Okay, Ashwin. So basically, inheritance tax, which was earlier also known as estate duty in India, it was abolished in 1985. Firoz, it's unlikely that this tax could be reimposed again. And what's the advice for a caller?
So I think, as like you rightly pointed out, today the tax isn't there. For the last 30 years, this tax hasn't been there. But there have been talks about this tax coming back into play. But yeah, as far as you're concerned, I think you've inherited it. Ashwin, you've inherited it now. The tax laws of current situation apply, and you're not going to pay any tax. Deduction, of course, is out of question, because it's going to come to you. And then when you file your return, you can actually show this as an inheritance, and you don't have to pay any kind of tax for that matter. And then comes to the second portion of your question, which is where do I invest? To my mind, like you've mentioned, I think you have long periods of 5-7 years to invest. I think creating a portfolio revolving around equity would be the best thing to do currently, looking at the contemporary situation. Like Lata was mentioning in the previous segment, there could be some jitters over the next couple of months, but I think from a long-term perspective, equities look quite robust. So revolve your portfolio around equity, large portions, and I think your current investments can substitute the debt allocation. So put all the money in equity, and I'll give you some funds. One would be the Mirai India Opportunities Fund, which is a very good large cap fund. In the large cap category, you can also look at the Birla Frontline, and a couple of others in the mid cap category would be ICICI's Discovery Fund, and one would be the Reliance Equity Opportunities. These 4 funds, if you divide them into equal portions, your 5 lakhs, I think you'll be poised for a decent growth.
Okay, well, Feroz, you have any interest in any of these funds? Does your company is it a sales agent for any of these?
Yeah, we are actually sales agent to all of them, and we recommend them strongly to our clients, and I might have my exposures as well. Okay.
Our next viewer is Prabhat Arora. He's calling us from Delhi, and he has a personal finance question, Feroz. Please go ahead, Mr. Arora. Prabhat ji, आपका सवाल क्या है?
I wanted to know if this is the right time to invest in SIPs.
Okay, Feroz, I thought your question also said which MFs you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super. So, Mr. Arora, the question, like you asked, is this the best time to start an SIP? See, SIPs actually bring out the element of market timing, because you're going to invest on a monthly basis. So, it's more of a discipline and a mode of investment rather than a scheme in itself. So, to answer your question, yes, it's the best time. And fortunately, any time is going to be a very good time to start an SIP, because it's going to be a recurring monthly investment, 12 installments, or you can also, the other little explored feature, which is four installments in a month. So you can do a weekly SIP, which gives you a very good staggered entry into the market, is one of the best ways you can create a portfolio for yourself. So start an SIP. Definitely you don't have to actually wait to start it. And then you can look at 2 funds to start with if you've not made too many mutual fund investments. One in the large cap category, you can look at SBI Blue Chip, and in the mid cap category, look at HDFC Mid Cap. Both these schemes are very large schemes, managed very well. SBI is managed by Navneet Monot, who's the CIO. And then on the HDFC, of course, there is Chirag, who's the fund manager. Both of them have showcased immense capability of picking up stocks, which is the key prime requisite of a fund manager's capability. So, Mr. Arora, start your SIP into these 2 schemes and start building your portfolio.
Feroz, so you'd actually recommend a weekly SIP over a monthly SIP?
Yes, in choppy times like these where you are getting different market levels, it's always advisable that you do a weekly SIP, because from a logistical standpoint, you don't have to do too much extra documentation. And it's so automated that it's just one tick which will change your mode of investment. So weekly is a better option.
And there is no load anyways, no matter how many times you come.
You can be indifferent from a cost perspective on both these options. So weekly
there was the option of a daily SIP, but I think that's taking it too far.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, our next caller is Subhash Kumar, who calls in from Orissa. Hi, Subhash.
हाँ जी.
Hi, क्या सवाल है आपका?
हाँ जी, मैंने NTPC का 30 शेयर लिए हुए हैं 148 के रेट पे.
अच्छा.
तो मुझे ये पता करना था, अभी होल्ड करके रखूं या
आप लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर हैं?
हाँ जी, लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर.
ओके, और कोई पर्टिकुलर वजह जिससे आपने NTPC चुना था, या आपको इस सेक्टर में निवेश करने के आइडियाज भी चाहिए?
नहीं, मैंने अपने मन से ही लिया था, मतलब मुझे
Nuresh, he has bought NTPC at slightly higher levels, but it's a stock which hasn't moved, so much. So for a retail investor, does it remain sentiment? He's making very marginal losses right now. Would your advice be to cut positions in this and shift to something else which is better performing?
Yeah, I would suggest an exit in this counter, which has been in a downtrend for the last few years, and it has underperformed, and we believe it will continue to underperform given the current formations. So I would say you would be better off buying into a large cap bank or like an ICICI bank or a SBI in the PSU segment, rather than going with a NTPC.
Acha. That's the advice. Maybe you want to repeat it in Hindi?
मैं ये सजेस्ट करूंगा कि आप इससे एग्जिट कर दीजिए और उसके सामने कोई बैंक्स खरीद लीजिए जैसे ICICI या SBI.
Ramesh Singh writes to us from Rajasthan. He has a query for Feroz. He wants to know whether a will necessarily has to be registered.
Yes, I personally think it's very important to register a will, because the ease at which you can create a will is a little scary, because you can just take a plain sheet of paper, you need 2 witnesses. The amount of contesting which happens on wills in the country, the unregistered ones, I would definitely say that you should register a will, but that's good to have, but it's not a mandatory thing that you need to register your will. But it's always good when there's negligible costs, because the cost of a will registration is not proportionate to the assets written in the will. That's the best interest part. So you don't pay a proportion of the assets on the will. So please register the will. There's no mandatory thing like that, but I think it's always advisable so that you can reduce the probability that your will gets contested when you're not there to actually settle the dispute if there is any. So Mr. Ramesh, so register the will. It's always a good thing if you spend half a day at the sub-registrar's office.
Fair enough. Let's get our next caller in. This is Rakesh Arora calling us from New Delhi. Rakesh ji, go ahead. What is your question?
मेरे पास 200 रिलायंस के शेयर्स हैं
जी,
जो मैंने 484 के अंदर लिए हैं, तो इसमें मुझे अभी होल्ड करना चाहिए या इसको सेल करके स्टेट बैंक में मैं कन्वर्ट करना चाहता था।
अच्छा, आप तो लंबी अवधि के इन्वेस्टर हैं, आप कब खरीदे थे ये
मैंने 1.5 साल पहले खरीदा था।
अच्छा, आप तो काफी मुनाफे में बैठे हैं। पूछते हैं एक्सपर्ट से। नूरेश, his patience has paid, he's doing very well. What should he do now? I mean, of course, the share also saw 1,000 plus, now moved off. Should he stay with Reliance or move to State Bank, as he's saying?
If we look at Reliance, the stock has been a sideways movement with a lower zone at 850, 880 levels and a higher zone at 1,000 levels. So I would say even if he wants to exit, it would be better off when he exits it on a bounce towards 1,000 rupees. So I would say hold on for now and review when the stock goes back to 980,000 rupees.
All right, that's the advice on Reliance. The standard disclaimer, of course, is that Reliance Industries has acquired management control of Network 18 and TV 18. That's the companies that own and operate the channel that you're watching, CNBC TV 18. Next up, we have another caller on the line with us, Anuj Agarwal, who has some query on Polaris. Hi, Anuj.
Hello.
Hi, what's your question?
Ma'am, I am having Polaris Financial Services 500 shares at the rate of 214.
Okay.
And I am invested here for a period of 6 months.
Okay.
So what should I do? Please advise me.
Are you a long-term investor? Is there any need of funds that you have currently?
Sorry?
Are you in need of funds currently, and are you a long-term?
No. I am a long-term investor.
Okay. Nuresh, since early October, this stock has been on pretty much, a bit of pressure. Of course, there is the new Intellect Design Arena that has also got listed. But what's the advice for someone who has bought it about 6 months ago and can remain invested?
See, if we look at Polaris, I believe Intellect Design was at a 1:1 ratio. So currently the actual price of Polaris, including Intellect, which is around 70-80 bucks, would be higher than the buy price of the investor. And as well as in the short term, if we look at charts of Polaris post the demerger, it has made double bottoms around 150-160 levels. So I believe one should hold on, and any bounce back to which is possible towards 200 to 220 is where he should get out of Polaris and continue to hold on to Intellect.
Okay, Anuji, that is the advice on Polaris. I hope your question is answered. Okay, our next caller, no, he has written to us actually. Pranav Jain has written to us from Nagpur. He has 100 shares of HCL Technologies and the price of 1,370 rupees, 1,370 rupees, wants to know to hold or sell. HCL Technologies bought at 1,370. Nuresh?
Technically, we see a lot of base being formed around 1450 levels on HCL Technologies. And overall, the longer term trend is still positive, where we expect a target price of, say, almost 1700 going ahead. So I would suggest a hold at current levels.
Okay, that's fairly rewarding. He has bought it at 1,370 and Nuresh expects it can go even up to 1,700. Thank you very much. Nuresh, any disclosures on all the stocks that you spoke? Polaris, HCL Technologies, Reliance, HDFC, if I remember, all those other stocks you spoke on?
No personal positions or any conflict of interest in the stocks discussed.
Okay. That's the word. Feroz, Nuresh, thank you very much for joining us.